This week we're talking about contentment, what it means to be content. We thought we would talk just a little bit about the practical ways that you can find contentment. Maybe if you get off base, off balance, but you can get back on track. So let's talk about that a little bit, babe.
Yeah, let's do it, because contentment is a huge thing. You know, earlier this week we talked about in the Bible where Paul's talking to everybody, he says, you know, I've learned to be content in every situation. And then the next scripture is, I can do all things through Christ. What that suggests to me is that being content is one of the hardest things that we face inside ourselves.
Yeah, well, when you look at society and how things are set up, it is basically made for you not to feel content. If you get this, then you'll feel content. Advertisers, marketing, social media, everything in this world is about, if you get this, then you're going to feel complete and content and happy. But we realize that it's through Christ that he gives us strength to be content. And so what are some practical things that you do, that I do, to kind of realign? Because the truth is, you can be content for a season and then something happens and all of a sudden, and tomorrow we're not content and we have to realign and figure out where we got off base. And so let's talk a little bit about being practically content.
Absolutely, because I'll be honest, I would say this is one of the biggest struggles I face in my life, is just learning how to be content without being complacent.
Yep.
You know, it's like this fine line. Like, if I'm content, does that mean I'm lazy?
Yeah.
Which it doesn't. But then if I'm not content, I'm like comparing myself all over the place. And if I only had what they had, or if I, like what you said, if we had this. But something I have learned, take moments and think in the last 24 hours. So not just overall in my life, but in the last 24 hours, what are 5 things
That's good.
that I'm thankful for?
Absolutely.
And so just think of little moments, and they might be small and they might be big, but like living from that moment of gratefulness and thankful for what God is doing.
Yeah, that's great.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, so practicing gratitude. I love that. You know, in the morning, in the evening, what are you grateful for? It's always hard when you forget what to be grateful for. It's easy to see the things you need or you want or the situations that you're going through, but contentedness comes in, I'm grateful for all the things that we do have. That's really good.
Right. So like if you're watching right now, just write one thing in the last 24 hours that's happened that you're like, I'm grateful for this. One
of the things that I constantly have to do is to realign my thinking with the Father's thinking. You know, reading the Word, praying in the morning, it's connection with the Father, but it allows me to live as a son as opposed to living on my own and trying to make things happen. Because when I sit in that place, I serve a God that loves me. He loves me. He made me exactly the way that I am. And no matter what circumstances or situation, if I know that I'm a son of God or a daughter of God, then everything else situationally doesn't throw me off. And I can live in a contentedness of, God, thank you for your word. Thank you for speaking to me. Thank you that you love me and that none of us were an accident. It was on purpose. And kind of realign. So, you know, gratitude, also quiet time with the Lord, recalibrating your mind to know who you are in Him is huge.
Yeah, and I think another thing is picking a few people that you want to cheer on.
Oh, yeah.
So that you're not so self-focused.
Wow, yeah.
And so that's one thing I'll be like, okay, if I'm wanting something for myself, who else am I praying for that for? Who else am I cheering on? Who else am I believing for? Because that begins to change my heart. And I think another thing that can fight contentness is just worry. Yeah. You know, and the Bible does tell us with prayer and thanksgiving, you know, present your requests to the Lord. And so, you know, I try to, if I find myself in such a place of like continual worry or fear, you know, trying to go, wow, God, thank you that you put me in this situation for a reason. I might not see what it is, but if you will show me, you know, like. What
are some practical things you do when you're talking about cheering people on? I know that my pastor's really big on like adding value. And so he has, and I have like a value add calendar that every day I'm texting someone or calling them and I'm praying specifically for them and their family, which has been a game changer. And it does take your eyes off yourself. And there's a contentment when the Bible says it's better to give than receive, that Jesus even came to serve, that we can serve as well. What are some things that you do to cheer people on?
When you're talking about specific things like, hey, I'm praying for you to have a great day today. Yeah. Hey, I know that this is something you really want to do. Yeah. Like whatever it is, I'm believing for you. I know that you can do it. You know, sometimes we talk about that in our business, but I think overall in life, giving people belief to borrow. Because, you know, we all have those moments that we don't believe for ourselves. So just truly just speaking any type of life, love, happiness into someone else's life, or just go, hey, I'm thinking about you today. Like, isn't it nice sometimes we just get a text like, I'm just thinking about you today. I'm like, well, yeah, thank you.
I love that. So we're talking about, practicing gratitude morning, night, having quiet time with God, cheering others on. I think something for me is finding time to stop and refresh, whether it's 5 minutes, 30 minutes a day. When is the time that you stop and you refresh? And I'm not talking about escaping into, Netflix binge watching or playing games on your phone, or I'm talking about what do you do that you sit back and you refresh your mind, your body. Could be podcasts, could be something, it could be sitting quietly, but finding something that refreshes you. It's different for everybody, but when you have that time, it's a lot easier to be content because you're not on a hamster wheel of craziness and going from thing to thing. And today we're just so busy with all that we have. So I'd say that would be another thing to do. Stop and say, hey, how can I refresh myself? What's going to not just escape, but help me refresh? There's a difference in that.
Absolutely. And I love that you're saying that, because one of the things that's really helped me with that is not getting on my phone immediately. Now, I know we hear that all over the place, but the temptation to just grab it and look at it can set such a seed of discontentment in my heart. I know that for me personally, but I would love to hear, we have incredible people on here watching these. I would love to hear anything that you do that helps your contentment grow.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because like you said, those are seeds we planted. I believe in myself that I have a lot of seeds of discontentment. And so I got to keep whatever is bringing the fruit of that seed planted needs to continually be pulled out and planted with contentment.
Yep.